Okay, Nat, welcome
Ah.
to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited that you're here. I'm so
Me
excited that we're
too. I
reconnecting.
know. Oh my God, it's been forever.
I know because, fun fact for those listening, Nat was my very first ever business coach.
It's me.
It's you.
When was that? Was that 2020? Was that 2019? 2021? I don't, all the years blur together.
I was actually thinking about that this morning and I was like, I think it was 2021 because that was
Okay.
when I started my business.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, yeah, we kind of just lost touch just as
Yeah.
after we stopped working together. And then suddenly you reemerged with like
Yes.
your new lifestyle brand, and something about it just captivated me. I mean, not that you I mean, your other work
Right.
captivates me as
It's
well,
just
but
different.
it was just different and it was such a beautiful pivot and I was like, what is she doing? Like, get it, girl. And I was just like feeling the frequency of it and I was like,
Yeah.
this is a fuck yes for me. So
Oh, I love it.
yeah. And I was just, I mean, you're so open and you're so vulnerable about your journey, which I know that can be really hard to do, right? To be so open and so vulnerable, especially on the internet. And
Mhm.
so I feel like I've told you multiple times, I've slid into your DMs and just been like, oh my God, like I can feel your authenticity here and keep going because, yeah, it can be
Oh,
hard. So,
thank you so much. And that encouragement always feels so good because, yeah, being vulnerable on the internet can be hard and weird and scary. But it's like messages like that where people are like, you're totally doing what you're meant to do, or like, this inspired me to do this XYZ. I'm like, okay, we're meant to be here. We're meant to be on this path. And it just like makes it so worth it.
yeah, definitely. Sometimes we need a little bit of external,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to say validation, but
Like a little
encouragement.
nudge. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah. Okay, so you started off with Plenty and Well, which is your chronic illness business, and you've segued recently into your lifestyle and your wellness and lifestyle brand,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So I'd love for you to take us through your journey a little bit. And I know that self-care is a huge part of your brand, which
Mhm.
I love. So, what does a typical day in the life look like for you?
Oh my God. Wow. It's kind of, I always say, I'm like, oh, it's so different every day. I'm like, girl, no, it's not. Don't flatter yourself. I'm like a creature of habit. I'm a homebody. But oh my God, I really do say, like, I feel like I've really built a life based on a foundation of self-care. And like chronic illness definitely is what like urged me to do that. Cause it was like, hey, bestie, slow the frick down. Like your body's falling apart. And I'm in remission now with my chronic illness. Obviously, it still like impacts me, but I've really tried to keep up that self-care. So I feel like my day to day, typically I'll wake up around like 5:30, and I'll spend anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, kind of depending on when I want to do a workout, just reading, journaling, having some water, having some coffee, meditating, just like being in my energy. This is my office, my little sanctuary. So I sit in here with like my sunset lamp and, incense and all of that, and really just like take that time to just check in. And, whether I'm reading a fun novel or personal development, it's really just like a little bubble of me time. And then I'll typically move my body in some way. I do cycle syncing. So if I'm like on my period, I'll do like slow yoga or I'll just skip it. If I'm ovulating, I'll like go on a run, or I love hot yoga, hot Pilates. That's like my thing right now. So I'll go to a class. And then I do work full time for myself. So I'm in this spot a lot, or I'm filming content because it's kind of split now with both sides of the business. I'm either, sitting here doing coaching calls for folks with chronic illnesses or like developing programs and things like that, or I'm out and about my apartment or town, creating content and working on collaborations and things like that. So it's fun because I think we've talked about it. We're both manifesting generators, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm like, it's perfect for me to always be like doing something different, kind of like bopping around the apartment, doing different activities. And then in the evenings, if I didn't work out in the morning, I'll work out at night or go to a dance class. And then I'll usually take a bath or like go in the hot tub, or just really take time on my skincare, make dinner, always watch Love Island when I make dinner, and then read and go to bed. So it's pretty like, I feel like my self-care is very like, it's like a sandwich, like self-care sandwich. Middle of the day is a lot of just like working and such. But yeah, that's kind of what my days look like. Try to get outside now that it's not raining. So
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're in Sacramento, right?
yes, yeah. And we had a weird, I like brought the rain from Portland when I moved. I think we had a weirdly wet winter, but the sun is finally back out. So very happy about that.
We love the sun.
Yes.
Okay. So, this is one thing I just thank you for sharing all of that because
Yeah.
I always get so inspired too by just following you on Instagram. You're so good about posting. And so the thing that I'm always wondering, I'm like, how the heck does she get so much done? Like literally you get so much done. And I guess I could look at it from a human design perspective where it's like manifesting generators have so much energy when they're in alignment and they're doing what they love. And clearly you are doing what you love. But I've always wondered, and this is kind of a random question, but like with your media creation, because you're so good at, videos and content, and you have your YouTube channel, which is just like so great as well. I mean, like, how do you capture everything and still be in the moment?
Yeah. Oh my God. That is such a good question because it's something that I try to think about a lot as a content creator because it does feel kind of like counterintuitive, right? Like I am someone that loves to be in the moment, like ground into nature. And that I'm like, social media is the majority of my job. Like a lot of people I tell, they're like, how does that make sense? And I think part of it that's helpful for me is because I'm making content about a lot of the time self-care, wellness, things like that, or like showing my self-care routine, it almost makes me more in the moment because I'm like really focusing on like how can I romanticize this moment even more, or like if I intend to take a video of my little solo park date, like it helps me be like, oh well, we should put on a cute outfit, we should bring the cute blanket, we should bring fun snacks. And it's things that normally I just kind of be like, we'll just like go to the park, we'll just sit there for a minute. It almost like helps me more, if that makes sense, which is definitely like maybe a different perspective than most people have. But I think also just in a more tangible way is just making sure I'm not putting pressure to film everything. Like I used to put pressure of like, we should post a vlog on TikTok every day. And that just got so annoying. And I was noticing that instead of just enjoying my coffee or enjoying my yoga flow, I was like, oh, where's my tripod? Where's the ring light? I should be filming. So I try to only film my like at home routines like a couple times a week, or maybe one week I'm really feeling it and then I save it for the next week, like not always posting in the moment, and just trying to find that balance. Like people who like mostly post vlogs, I'm like, how do you do it? Because you're filming everything. So trying to find that mix of just not always filming has really helped.
Well, hats off to you because
Thank
I'm just
you.
like, oh my gosh, I wish I could do this, but clearly you are meant to do it. So, and you
Thank
always
you.
bring such great aesthetics into it. That is also something that I just love. So,
Thanks.
so going a little bit back to your rituals, because that's a huge part of what you talk about on your lifestyle page is your rituals. You have a ritual book, right? That you like created?
I have my journal, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, the journal.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I just launched that. I guess it was a few months ago now. Like, I'm like, was it before the holidays, after? I don't even remember. Again, everything just blends together in my brain. But yeah, I created a guided journal, and technically it's for folks with chronic illnesses, but honestly, I think the prompts in it could work for anyone. And it's really a guided journal to help. It's called Rooted in Flow. So it's kind of about like, how can you find, you know, how can you stay rooted and stay grounded when life is always ebbing and flowing, health is always ebbing and flowing, energy is always ebbing and flowing. And so the journal really takes folks through like finding the things they can control in a situation that's very uncontrollable much of the time, helps them create a relationship with themselves, know what that looks like, talk about like actual self-love, like what does that look like? And also in it talks about like, how can we create rituals and set goals that are still allowing us to honor our bodies, listen to our bodies, like take things slow when we need to, not so like, like smart goals that are like, they need to be measurable and like timely and all this stuff. I created a concept in the journal called flow goals, and it's like a different acronym of, we can set goals that are like flexible and like low stakes and things like that. And those still like count. And so, yeah, that was really fun to develop and just kind of be like, this was, I feel like the journal I needed a few years ago, and being able to like bring that into the world has been really cool.
I love that. And I think that that's very powerful, like having a routine or something that can anchor you in. Like journaling is super powerful. I feel like people hear that all the time. And if they don't do it, they're like, because this is how I used to be. I used to be like, fuck journaling. Like, no. And now I journal every morning and I'm like, whoa, like the manifestation meter just went like way up here.
Literally.
So that's amazing. And we'll link the all of the information so that people can check that out and see if it's something that they want to incorporate into their routine. We'll link it in the show notes. But love this. So I want to talk a little bit about your spiritual practice. Well, would you consider yourself spiritual? Like, how would you? Okay. I thought so. I just wanted to like make sure.
Yes.
Because I don't want to, label you something that you're like, wait, I'm not spiritual. But okay. So when did you start incorporating a spiritual practice or ritual into your daily routine? Or do you feel like which one came first, the daily routine or the spiritual practice, or were they kind of both together?
I feel like the way that I practice both now, like kind of came at the same time, but I do feel like the rituals and routines started first. Like I definitely started that in college, but it was very like just workout focused more. Like I started getting up early and recognizing that like that felt really good to me, probably like my sophomore year of college, but it was mostly like, okay, it's time to run and like go to the gym and scroll on literally Instagram. Like that was like my routine, but it was the basis of like, oh, I like getting up early and having time where like my roommates aren't up or, I don't have classes or whatever. And by senior year, I started dabbling a little bit in spirituality because I started following the Balanced Blonde, Jordan Younger, and she, had kind of started talking about like crystals and things like that. And I was like, oh, how interesting. And I got my first like kind of spiritual book, The Universe Has Your Back, such a classic, and found the crystal shop in my little college town. And I had honestly no clue what any of the crystals were I bought. I was just like, pretty rocks. People say they do stuff. And then from there, especially after I got sick and I, kind of had to really cut back on the working out, I was like, well, I don't know what else to do, but I still want to like get up early and do things that feel good. And so that's what really kind of catapulted me into just exploring other rituals more. And then that also brought me to then finding like, oh, oracle cards and, all of that kind of realm of spirituality. And it really was 2020. I feel like that I always say that was like my spiritual awakening because I lived alone in an apartment in the middle of the woods. My family moved 2 hours away from me. It was a pandemic. I was like, all right, nothing better to do with my time than like dive the fuck in, look at my shadows, like learn about crystals, learn about chakras, learn about what spirituality means to me, got really into like tarot cards. And I just would literally sit in my bed for like 3 hours every morning, like pulling cards and, manifesting and talking to the universe and meditating. And it was just, I feel like that was when I started really noticing like spirituality is more than just, pretty crystals and like sometimes saging your house and whatever. I'm like, oh, I'm like downloading stuff from the universe. I'm like learning things. I'm forging a path. I'm seeing signs and kind of just that's really when it solidified like, oh, this is like a big part of my life. And from there, it's just kind of grown more and just become such a integral part of my life and what I do and things like that. Did that even answer your question? I just like,
oh yes,
word vomit.
No, completely. It's like that generator, that generator sacral, just going.
Yep.
It's great though. I'm the same way when people ask me questions. When it's a question that like I'm excited to answer.
Yes.
So that was actually going to lead into my next question was what does spirituality mean to you?
Yeah. Oh my God. That is such a good question. I feel like to me, spirituality a lot of the time means trust, which is something I've like struggled with my whole life, being someone who has anxiety and just like wants to know the plan and is very like, perfectionist. I'm like, trusting is just hard because I want to be in control. And I feel like spirituality really gave me the permission to be like, my life isn't just in my hands. Like the universe has me. Some people may say God or, whatever their word is. It's very similar in that way of, I feel like it's a big practice in trust and knowing like what's meant for me will come and what I, want will come if it's meant to come and with manifestation and all of that. So that's a big piece of it. I think how I would define spirituality. And then also like, I really see my spiritual practices as also an invitation to just like be with myself and like get to know myself. Cause through so many of my spiritual practices is how I've just learned so much about myself that before I was just really blind to, or just like on the hamster wheel too much to like notice or slow down to listen to my own thoughts and needs. And so those are kind of two of the big pieces of it, like trust in the universe and then also trust in learning in myself.
That was so beautifully said. And I resonate very, very deeply with it. I think that, and this is why I love asking people this question is because you get a different answer every single time. And Out of curiosity, do you have Virgo in your big three in
I
astrology?
don't.
You don't?
Mm-mm.
What are your big three?
I'm a Sagittarius sun, a Libra moon, and Aquarius rising.
I was gonna guess Libra as well because
Yeah.
you're very into aesthetics, which I
Yeah.
love.
Yes.
I'm so curious where Virgo is in your chart because you're so organized and you're so like that perfectionist tendency. I'll have to maybe one day I'll look
I
at
was gonna say, yeah, I'm like, I should look at my chart after this and let you know.
because I'm a Virgo rising, so I can vibe
Okay.
with that. So
Yeah.
just a
Yes.
lot of the stuff you're saying, I'm like, wow, yeah, same,
Hmm.
same. Okay, so when did you initially start your business? Was it before you got into spirituality or after?
It was before. Well, I had started a blog in 2015. It was right after my freshman year of college. And that's kind of what like catapulted it. It's funny because I was like lifestyle wellness blogger back then. And then I like pivoted when realized like, oh, I want this to be like a business, and kind of went into like the life coaching realm and all of that. So I took it full time as a business in January of 2019. So yeah, it was before, I guess I was like still a little into spirituality, but before like the major kind of depth of where I'm at now.
Okay. So what was it that motivated you to start your business initially?
I think a lot of it was I hated being told what to do. I just could not imagine like being told what to do every day. And I just got so antsy, like I mean, I still do things at a desk, but it's very like aligned. I'm like editing videos and like talking to people about things I'm passionate about. But just the thought of a 9 to 5, and I'd had a few internships, like very casual internships still in college, but I was just like, I can't imagine doing this every day, all day. And also with my chronic illness, I just knew if I could make a business work for myself, like I could so much better honor my body and do what I needed, because the only like quote unquote real job I had before starting my business full time was a personal trainer. I like thought that was my ticket to freedom. I was like, no, 9 to 5 at a desk. I'll be a personal trainer. I love working out. I got certified. I got like probably the best personal training job you could get where I lived. And I lasted 2 months. And I remember just sobbing to my parents, like, I fucked up. I should not have spent all this money on that certification. I literally just got out of the training period for the job. And I was just like, one, it was so hard on my body. I was still very sick at that point. And again, I was like, I'm still being told what to do. Like, I don't want to be told what to do. I don't want like, it was just so annoying to me. And so it was kind of like, this is my only option. And like, I need to figure out how I'm going to make it work. And I did, which is sometimes crazy to think about. But yeah, a lot of it stemmed from just like, I like having complete freedom to do what I need for myself. And having a business allows me to do that.
Which is so Sagittarius.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, absolutely.
It also speaks a lot to your process as a manifesting generator because it's like that trying things on and then really giving yourself the permission to allow yourself to let it go if it doesn't resonate. Um, how do you feel with that? Like, are you comfortable doing that, or is it something you're still working on embracing?
I think it's kind of twofold. I've gotten definitely way better at being like, nope, not for me, let it go. But I still think there is, it's again that perfectionist side where I'm like, no, I want to like and when I do things, I like do them. I dive head first. And I always have this desire of like, I want this to last forever and be my forever passion and whatever. But when things don't feel good or aligned, I like can't get myself to do it. Like I literally wrote my college essay on like quitting is the best thing I have ever done for myself. And it was about how like I dedicated my entire life to dancing. And then right before high school, I was like, fuck this. Like I hate it. Like this makes me so sad. I'm going to try something different. And then I tried cheer. And then I said, no, screw that. I'm going to try running. And then I have just always like known when I needed to quit and just done it. But it's still hard because there's like this piece of me that still sees it as like, oh, have I failed by quitting? But I think I've come a long way in that of like choosing to stop doing something that doesn't feel good is like, I feel like the ultimate win. Like there's no way to fail if you're doing what you need to do for yourself.
Definitely. And it's like everything you just said. I'm like, same.
Mm-hmm.
Because I try things too, like all the time. And I always have this idea in my head of like, I want to hang on to it forever. I want to get really good at this. Like it's totally an ego thing. And
Oh,
then,
absolutely.
and then my soul is just like, no, we're good. And then it's like, okay, time to pivot. So,
Yeah.
definitely a big manifesting generator thing. And there's a lot of people that are manifesting generators. So for
Yes.
those listening, if you feel any of that resonates with you, likely you are a manifesting generator.
Yes.
So don't be afraid to pivot. Easier said than
Yes.
done. But it's very inspiring. You've always shared a lot of your different hobbies and everything as well, which I love seeing.
Yeah.
So you were working with chronic illness
Mhm.
primarily with your business for the first, it sounds like few years, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What inspired you to pivot and come out with your lifestyle brand that you have
Oh
now?
my gosh. I think there was just this piece of me that, again, as a manifesting generator, I am very multi-passionate. I, have a million hobbies, a million interests. I'm always learning something. My parents would call me a certification junkie. They're like, you're just getting certified. I'm like, I just feel like if I'm passionate about something, why not get certified? Even if I'm never going to use it, like the best way to learn everything I could ever want to know is like, just get a certification. And so I think part of me felt like I put myself in a box. And also as a manifesting generator, like I hate when other people put me in a box, but when I put myself in a box, I'm like, I'm extra annoyed because I didn't have to do this. And it was so hard. I grappled with it for so long because I was like, I love running my business. I love working with this niche of people and like helping people that are exactly like my past self. And I still got to, and still get to dabble in right mindset and things I'm passionate about, but I still felt like I couldn't fully share everything. Like it wasn't like my full expression. I couldn't share about like my queerness journey, or really like I wasn't sharing a lot about spirituality. And so when I moved to Sacramento, I kind of saw it as this almost like fresh start, or this permission slip to be like, just try something. Like again, just try it on. If you hate it, delete that Instagram, stop posting on TikTok, whatever, just see. And I was starting to get really into content creation, but I feel like because my business pages are predominantly about chronic illness, it was kind of hindering how many companies I could work with and things like that. And I wanted to have honestly more of a platform that I could work with more like self-care brands and wellness brands and clothing brands and whatever. And my TikTok was kind of starting to grow. And I was just like, I feel like there's something here. And so it really was just, I needed a space where I could share every piece of me. And that's what I kind of saw it as. And it's been so fun. Like it has truly been just obviously to add it a lot more to my plate, but like again, in the best way. Like when I'm passionate about it, I don't even think about like, oh my God, I have so much to do. I'm just like, awesome. Let's do it. So that's really kind of what kind of inspired me to do it. And it's made then running the chronic illness side of my business like fun again, because I'm allowing myself to be all of the parts of who I am.
Yes. I love what you just said about how you're like, it allowed the chronic illness side to be fun again. Cause it's like, you're letting yourself be completely who you are. And it doesn't have to be expressed through one channel.
Right.
Again, is very MG. So,
Yes.
okay. So at what point we're going to pivot a little bit
Yeah.
and talk about your coming out journey.
Yes.
And because I still remember when I saw your coming out post, I was like, oh my God, it just felt so right. Like it felt
Mhm.
so you. And not to say, because when we were working together, you were not out, right?
Mm-mm.
And so, and not to say that I ever,
Right.
thought that you may be queer or anything. It just, I don't know. I just saw the post and I was like, this is so authentic and so beautiful. And so I want to walk through your journey a little bit if you're open to it. So at what point did you know that you were queer?
It's again like a twofold question. The first time, and I remember it so distinctly, the first time I ever was like, oh shit, like, I think I might be gay. I was literally 12 years old. Like I was 12 years old. I remember I was at it was like a dance showcase, but it wasn't like a recital I was in, and I was there with my family. And I like saw this girl on stage and I was like, she is so cute. And then my brain was like, what the fuck was that? Like, huh? Like, no, oh my God. And I like remember looking at my family next to me and I was just like, nope, I am not going to be the lesbian. Like, that is not me. I can't do it. Which it's so funny looking back because my parents were like super liberal, like took us to gay rights marches. Like, the pastor of our church was a lesbian, and I was just like, couldn't be me. But that's where I love what I do. It's because I had such a lack of representation. Like, I didn't know. Like I literally, my head was like, bitch, you do ballet. Sorry, I'm like swearing so much. I'm getting
Oh, you're
heated.
good. I always swear. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
I'm
good.
like, you do ballet, your favorite color is pink, like you love dolls, like you can't be gay. Cause I literally didn't know that femme lesbians existed. I was like, no, like the only gay people I've seen are like more mask presenting. And I also didn't know like you could know you were gay as a kid. I was like, no, like being gay is for adults. That was a weird thought. Like move along. Like, nope. And I just shoved that thought away for literally 13 years. And it was then I downloaded TikTok in 2020, as we basically all did. And that was like the first time I had really seen representation of queer folks that looked all completely different, and saw people that looked like me. And I was like, wait, what? Okay, interesting. Like, cause For You page, when you first download it, they're just like throwing stuff at you. Like, oh, what sticks? Like, what's your For You page going to look like? And TikTok was like, okay, she's saving all these posts. Like, we're going to keep showing your stuff. And so I started kind of questioning, but like not seriously. Like, even in my head, I was like, oh, well, if I realized I liked women, like I'm too old now I'm just not even going to try to date them. Like, whoa, too far gone, but like, let's think about it, whatever. And then when I moved to Portland, I feel like that's what really did it for me, because Portland is like a very queer city. So again, I was just like, so I'm like, oh, girls holding hands and seeing queer folks that looked like me. And also a lot of my friends that lived in Portland at the time were either queer or like kind of questioning at the same time. So I was able to have open communication about what I was feeling for the first time. And I think when I finally started talking to my friends, I'm kind of like, oh, this is silly, goofy, but like I feel like TikTok's made me like question, and then them being like, okay, wait, me too, and unpacking it all together is just when I realized I'm like, you can't just fake it and know you're not too old. Like you deserve to like let yourself explore. And so at first I feel like, as so many people do, I came out as bi because I was like, well, I've dated men literally my whole life. Like that has to mean something. Yeah. Until I realized, like, looking back at all the signs, which is something I post about a lot on TikTok, I was like, no, it makes sense. Like, I was just a serial dater. I could never have a boyfriend more than like 2 months, thought I was avoidant, all this stuff. And when I started dating women, I was like, oh, like everything just makes sense. Like, that's just how I can describe it, is I'm like, everything makes sense. I make sense. Life makes sense finally. And I also had a queer therapist at the time, which was like hugely helpful. And she was the one that really was like, okay, yeah, like, let's talk about this because I don't think you're bi. And then I just kind of dove right in from there. So yeah, it started when I was 12. And then again, when I was 25, waited a long time there in the middle, which sometimes it's easy to be like annoyed at my past self. But honestly, everything happened in such divine timing. I know that like I came out when it was like right and safe for me to do so.
100%. I was just going to say, it's like, you just have to go back to that trust of like, your journey was meant to be your journey, because we could all do that about anything in life. Right.
Yep.
So, okay. And you've already kind of touched on this, but this was something that you posted about once that like you mentioned in, I think it was your Instagram stories about, and I'm paraphrasing here. So, yeah. But you said, when you initially came out, you felt this pressure to dress more masculine. And so you did. And I did kind of notice that in, your just what you were posting and stuff. And then you said, you're like, wait, hold up. I'm actually like super girly. I'm super feminine. Like, no. And you posted, I mean, your style is like so fucking cute. And like,
thank you.
Like, love it. And, you're super girly. And so, can you share a little bit more about that process was like for you? And I just want to hear a little bit more into it, because I'm so curious and I love hearing about masculine, feminine energies that like we all carry within ourselves. So I would just love to hear about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It is so funny looking back. Like I scrolled super far back on my TikTok the other day and I was just like, who is this girl? Like, what was I wearing? And again, it's like, okay, it was all part of the journey. And I think for me, it really came down to like, I invalidated my own sexuality for like literally my whole life. Not necessarily invalidated, but I just like didn't give space to even think about it. That I was like, I so badly just wanted to feel external validation of like, your queerness is valid. Because I think also at the start of my journey, I struggled to feel valid also because like I'd had so many boyfriends, I'd like slept with so many men. I was just like, oh my God, I need to just like be the queerest I can be. And it's something I talk about a lot now too, of like, gay doesn't have a look like at all. Just like chronic illness doesn't have, like, you can't look at someone and know they're chronically ill. You can't look at someone and know what their sexuality is. And many times how we express our gender and our energy doesn't even maybe match our sexuality. But for me, I was like, also living in Portland, there's like so many queer folks that just like look visibly queer. Like you look at people and you're like, absolutely, I know you are not straight. Like, and I just wanted to be one of those people. I'm like, I want to walk into a coffee shop and have like the gay barista know I'm one of them. Like I just wanted so badly to feel like a part of the club, because I hadn't for so long. And so I started wearing a lot of like men's clothing and like, 5-panel hats, and even would like stop wearing makeup, even though like I love wearing makeup. And I think also part of that is when I started dating my now ex-girlfriend, like she is a lot more mask presenting. And it's so funny because like I knew her type was like femmes, like she was dating me for a reason, but I was just like, well, I don't want my girlfriend to be like obviously queer and I'm not. So I think it was like this little internal, like weird competition, and just it really did help me feel valid at the start. And so I'll never regret, even though I definitely feel like I kind of abandoned my like true nature a little bit there for a while. It helped me. It just helped me feel valid. It helped me feel again like I felt so good when I knew someone recognized it. I was just like, yes. And I feel like I was, when I moved to Sacramento, it helped of like I was far enough in my journey that I was just like, wait, this doesn't actually feel good anymore. Like when I sit with my energy in the morning and I'm like, oh, what do I want to wear? I don't ever actually want to wear any of those clothes. Like I don't want to wear men's t-shirts. I don't want to toss a hat on every day or not wear makeup. Like I want to wear my little workout onesies and my mini skirts and my like high-waisted jeans and my crop tops and whatever. And again, I just feel like Sacramento was really this permission slip to just like reinvent myself and really ask like, what does my queerness look like for me? And it just took a lot of unpacking of like just self-validation, and I think also connecting with a lot of like other queer women that were like super femme. It was just really helpful to be like, oh wait, like there is a huge sector of us, and I don't need to change myself to be valid or be seen as valid within the community. So yeah.
And it's like what makes you unique,
Right.
It's like you're just completely, that's what I have shared with you, is like your lifestyle brand screams authenticity, because
Oh,
it's
thank
just
you.
like you're being so, and I'm like not just saying that. It's like
Right.
you're being so true to who you are, which, queer or not, that can be really hard,
Mhm.
like even for people, like if, like I struggle with what to wear all the time, and I'm
Right.
like, I don't know how to express myself. I mean, what
Yeah.
you wear is such a form of self-expression.
Mhm.
So anyways, thank you for sharing on that. And
Yeah.
I think that that's really beautiful that you're really stepping into like that feminine energy that like,
Mhm.
it's so
Yes.
powerful. It's so like just like sexy,
Yep.
female, woman, like powerful. I love it. So how would you say, like, how has your life changed since coming out? What would you say is the most noticeable
Oh my gosh. Oh,
changes?
like so much. I mean, all of it really is like internal. I think the biggest thing I recognized was how much easier it became to be authentic. Like, I feel like I've always prided myself on being open and authentic and vulnerable. But when I came out, I was like, this is like a whole new level. Cause I feel like that is also just a very vulnerable thing to share. And, I just like posted it on the internet. I'm like, hey guys. So, like, here it is. I'm like gay, whatever. And I feel like it kind of like broke down this wall inside myself, because obviously that piece of me was always inside of me and I was hiding it from myself. I was, fearful of it, which is like super valid. And so when I kind of accepted that piece of me, it just helped me like accept just everything about myself and know like I just became so much more confident too, like in all facets of life, because I was like, wait, I'm actually who I'm meant to be now. I'm not, trying to date men and trying to make it work. And my dating life was always such a like sore spot in my life. I struggled, obviously. Like I just struggled so much. And I always was like, something's wrong with me. I'm not worthy. I was going after really toxic guys that, would make me not feel worthy and gaslight me. And so it was like this huge thing that just I didn't realize was such a cloud over me and hurting my confidence so much. So when I came out and was having like positive dating experiences, and I was like, wait, whoa, this is what it's like to be like confident in just who you are and who you're dating. And so I think the confidence piece and the authentic piece of it was really huge. And I think again, to that trust piece, I started like trusting myself a lot more, because it was kind of this like ultimate piece of trust of like just figuring out this piece of me. And no one can really help you do that. Obviously I had a therapist and such who tried to help, but a lot more like inner trust I think was found as well. I just feel like I almost like stepped into maybe not fully my highest self, but like way closer to that kind of like highest version of myself that I used to always like journal about and dream of. I was just like, oh, I didn't need to read more self-help books. I just needed to like sit with myself and like think a little deeper on who I really am.
Oh, yeah, it's like that looking inward instead of looking outward.
Totally.
Easier said than done.
Right. Of course.
Would you say that you noticed some pretty big shifts in your business after you came out?
I think so. Like in again, kind of like subtle ways. I was very lucky that like it's kind of crazy. When I came out on my business page, like I didn't get a single hate comment. I didn't get a single like it was all positive energy, which I think definitely speaks to like the type of people I kind of cultivated and I was open about like my views of like being an ally before and stuff like that. But I think it shifted things in the sense that I've definitely noticed more queer folks definitely like sign up for my programs and stuff, which like feels really special. And it's really cool to connect not only over chronic illness, but like this queer aspect as well. And I think that's been really cool to see kind of my business and such be kind of like a safe space for queer folks and them knowing that it is now, not just because like, oh, well, Natalie's an ally. It's like, no, like she's one of us, sort of thing. But other than that, like in the chronic illness side, I don't feel like it changed a lot. Obviously, the lifestyle brand and stuff, I feel like that was a big reason. I don't think if I didn't come out, I don't think that side of my business would have ever taken off or happened. Because again, I feel like that branch of my business is just like so authentic to me. And I just wouldn't have ever let myself even go there, sort of.
And you mentioned earlier that that is what's kind of breathing life back into you and giving you that like excitement back around your chronic illness side too. So it just all goes to show how when we do give ourselves that permission to like fully step into who we are, no matter what that looks like for everyone, is like the universe supports.
Yeah, totally.
So I think that that is just, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
What about in your spirituality? Did you notice yourself start to open up more spiritually after like stepping into that authenticity?
Yeah, absolutely. I was like literally just thinking in my head of like, I feel like it just became so much easier to access that trust and also to like manifest. I was just so much more open because I think, again, I always knew there was this piece inside of me that I was like afraid of. I was like honestly scared to face it. And so it always kept me a little like shut off in different ways, which obviously when like your energy is shut off, you're not going to be as open to manifestation or downloads or, whatever that looks like. So it definitely, I feel like elevated so much. And when I was in Hawaii last year with my best friend, Ali, we were there for a month. It was, I think about it every day. I like, oh my God, I need to go back right now. But I met with, it was virtual, but this healer who Ali sees often, and she does distance energy healing. And it was kind of like just opened my eyes even more of how big of a step it was in my spiritual journey, because I was like in meditation for an hour while she long distance did the energy healing. And then we like chatted about it. And I just like saw so much in that meditation of it being like, that was like a huge step again to like being your highest self. And this like unlocked so much in you. And it was like kind of in that moment, because I never really put two and two together, where I was like, wait, yeah, like things do feel like they're just flowing so much more easily and manifestations come true so much more easily. And I'm also just so much clearer on even what to ask the universe for, which has been really cool, because I don't think I thought that would happen. I was just like, oh, this is just going to change like my dating life. And I'm like, no, this actually changed literally everything, like everything.
And that's the beauty of it,
Totally.
right? Is that authentic when you really can step into that, the shifts that can happen are, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
What would you say? Oh my God, I totally just
my brain always.
I literally had the question in my head and then I was like, where did it go? Okay, so thank you for sharing all of that and being so open. And you mentioned that it was a part of yourself that you were really afraid of. Mm-hmm. Have you done some inner work and kind of uncovered like, why were you so afraid of it?
Yeah, I've been in therapy. I mean, I've been in therapy since like 2019, but I've been since coming out only been working with like queer therapists, which have been super helpful. Like if anyone listening is queer and feels like they need therapy, like literally just Google like LGBTQ therapists and then in your city and you'll find them. But it's been helpful because they've kind of all been able to help me think through that. Cause it was kind of like, I'm like, again, I grew up in a very like ally household, very liberal parents. Again, pastor is gay, like all the stuff where I was like, why was I afraid of that? And I honestly think like looking back, I used to care so much what people thought, like could not be more opposite to where I am now. Like I don't give two shits what anyone thinks of me. But in the past, like especially like in high school, I just like I wanted to fit in so badly. I'm sure part of that comes, I was homeschooled till sixth grade. So I always felt like the new girl and just like wanted to fit in. And so I very much was like, let me adhere to like what is everyone wearing? How are we acting? Like was always just aware and just trying to fit in. So I think it was kind of this like wounded teenager side of me, like not even my inner child. It was like my inner teenager was so scared of being different. Like I just wanted to be normal. I just wanted to fit in. I just wanted to be popular and have people like me and, you know, be seen as a nice person. And so I think I was just scared of like, oh, being that girl that was like different or, you know, I've had actually a lot of people from high school since I've come out and I'm very open on social media message me and be like, oh my God, dude, I love seeing, you know, people from high school who turn out to be gay because like, so am I. And, you know, talking about like our high school just had no representation. Like, I can think of like maybe one gay person. Like there was just, I just was like, oh my God, I'm going to be the literal only one. And like, I cannot be that. Like, it was so scary for me to be different, which is so funny now. Cause I'm like, I love being different. Like, you know, it's like, I just like don't care about, you know, fitting in. And so I think that was a big fear, like fear of judgment, fear of not fitting in with peers, and like not conforming exactly to what like I was supposed to be conforming to. So yeah.
What was your family's reaction?
Oh my God. They were great. It's so funny because when I first came out, I like came out as bi and I bought this card on Etsy and now I don't even remember what it said, but it was like some funny pun. And then it had like the bi flag color, like confetti in it. And so I'd like already started dating women. And then I was like, okay, I feel ready to come out. And I was like home visiting and I like the whole trip, I was just like, I need to like get this over with because I'm stressed and I feel like I'm hiding the secret. And so, and my brother and sister-in-law were also visiting, but one night when it was just me and my parents, I was like, oh, I have like a card for you. And I opened it and I like started crying because I was just like so nervous. And my dad just like gives me a hug. And my mom's like, how do you know? And I was like, Mom, and, which now she realized she's like, I should have asked you that. And I was just like, Mom, how did you know you liked boys? And she's like, oh my God, yeah, that was a dumb question. But then it was like so fun because then right away she's like, okay, well, like, have you dated anyone? And I like sat with them. I was like, okay, so there's this one girl. And,
Oh my
you know, it
gosh,
was just literally right away. It was like felt the same as when I dated boys. I'm like, and here's their Instagram and look at their pictures. And when I told my sister-in-law, I think like the next day we're on a walk and she just like gave me a huge hug. My brother cried when I told him, like in night, like good tears, not like he was like just so happy because he also kind of like you said, he just right away was like, this just makes sense. Like, yeah, I never like thought about it like, oh, my sister probably is gay and doesn't know it, but like, oh, it just makes sense. And so yeah, it was really special. And I know I'm like so privileged to have had those types of reactions and had their support like right away. And then when I realized like, oh, I'm actually not bi, I'm gay, they were like, super cool, like awesome, keep us updated, like whatever, like they just were like awesome, like
they're
amazing.
like, let us know if anything else changes.
Yeah, cool. They're like, let us know if actually that's also not the right identity. I'm like, okay, no, I think we're good now, but I'll let you know.
They're like, we're here for the long run.
Yeah,
so
literally.
don't worry about it.
Yes, totally.
That's so awesome though. Like the fact it's like, I mean, do you believe that like our souls choose our families?
Oh,
I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so do I. So I always like to ask people, you know, because it's definitely a belief, but I feel like your soul definitely chose your family for a reason, like to have that.
Absolutely.
And you know, unfortunately, not everybody has that experience.
Right.
But it's just really inspiring, and it's really great that you do have that support system. And sounds like it can really help you with like embracing that, like being different. And that's also so. You said you're an Aquarius rising, right?
Yeah.
So Aquarius,
Yeah.
like, coming off into the world, being super different, being super unique. I love it. So thank you for sharing all of this and for like going into that journey. Again, it was just something that, like you said, what your brother said, I was like, oh, this just makes sense. Like it just felt so you and felt so right. And so the frequency of it just, it like raised your frequency.
Yes.
So high, I feel like.
Thank you.
So, okay, we're going to pivot a little bit.
Okay. Let's do it.
You've recently been sharing a lot about your journey with being sober.
Yes.
So, how long have you been sober?
So since it was like right before Thanksgiving, I was home for Thanksgiving. And that was when I remember I was like talking to like my video camera doing a YouTube video. And I was like, wait, why did I even like have that half a drink earlier? Like that, wait, what? Like, what am I doing? And then I was just like, all right, screw it. Like, no more. So what is that? Like November, December, January, like almost 5 months, 4.5 months or something.
Yeah. Okay. That's a long time.
Mhm.
What motivated you to go sober?
I think again, like which you probably know, just when you're like tapped in with spirituality, you just like know right away when something's not aligned, when someone's not aligned, anything. Like I even know if I put on an outfit, I'm like, oh, not the energy for today. Like I have to take it off or I'm gonna like freak out all day. And it was something I knew like forever was not aligned. I honestly really stopped drinking when I was like 20, like before I was even legal. I just was like, this isn't for me. And I would like I was just like I'll have a drink here and there girl for years, like for literally 7 years after that, where I would like, sure, I'll go wine tasting and I'll like have the tasting, but that's it. Or I'll have like one glass of wine at, Christmas dinner or whatever. And I would just kind of do it because I was like, oh, it's not like I have a bad relationship with it. Like it wasn't hurting my chronic illness at the time, but it was that in that moment during Thanksgiving when I was home, we had gone to this like new cider place in my parents' small town. And I will say, I was like, oh, I just have to try this one because it had locally sourced adaptogenic mushrooms in it. And I was like, we got it. Like superfood,
Like,
a cider. I'm like, I don't even at this point, who cares? I'm like annoyed there's alcohol in it. And so, I had like the one little tasting of it. And then I just was like, I just didn't feel good, but it wasn't like a physical not feel good. It's not, I had like 4 sips of alcohol, it was just like energetically, it just didn't feel good. And so I had that like reflection moment when I was talking to, my vlog after where I was like, I keep, feeling that way after I have even just half a drink, like just not feeling good. And then it makes me feel guilty. And for years, I would tell myself, like, there's nothing to feel guilty for. You need to work through the guilt. And I'm like, no, actually, I think that guilt is just this sign of I don't feel guilty about having a drink. That is not bad, in and of itself. I feel this like I think guilt that I'm not following what I know is right for me. I'm not doing what I know is aligned for me. I'm pushing it away. And so that's just really kind of how I came to it of like it just didn't feel aligned. And I know if it does feel aligned, like sure, I'll have a glass of wine because again, I don't have like a bad relationship at all with alcohol. But for now, it just feels really good to just not even see it as an option for myself. Like it just feels super good.
Yeah. I mean, there was a period where I actually did go sober for 5 months.
Totally.
And felt the best I've ever felt.
Right.
I
Oh my
honestly
God.
don't even know why I started drinking again, but I did. And now it's kind of like the have a few drinks here and there type of girl, like what you mentioned how you were for a while. But it's interesting, like, how you were explaining that it's not like you don't have a bad relationship with alcohol or anything. You just want to be sober. And I think that that's something that's really great to hear because it's like, you don't have to have a bad relationship with alcohol to be sober.
Totally.
And that's something because I've been listening to some podcasts around sober curiosity and because I'm literally curious about it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm asking you about your journey with
Yeah.
it. And I think that a lot of people are curious about it. And I think especially as we are getting more and more into like the new earth and everything, and more people are waking up, more people are stepping into spirituality, alcohol, it lowers our frequency. And when we're going out to clubs and stuff, I mean, no judgment, but it's just like, that is like it, like energetically, it literally does like lower your frequency. And so it's interesting that, all of us are naturally gravitating towards drinking less. And I've talked to people before, especially when I was sober, they were like, oh my God, like that's so inspiring. Like how are you doing that? And I didn't realize like how much alcohol is such a staple in our society. And so the main thing is like what to say. I feel like when you go out with your friends, because I mean you're social, right?
Yeah.
It's like, so what do you say when you're out with friends? Like, do you still go out with any friends that still drink?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm also very introverted. And I will say it's actually really nice. Like I've started like when I make friends, I'm very open about like if it's especially because I just moved to a new city, and so when I like had a Bumble BFF profile, like I had on there like, that I don't drink. And so right away, kind of having that be a foundation of friends of they're like, oh, well, with Natalie, we just do activities where we don't drink, or like we do activities where she can get a mocktail or things like that has been really helpful. And it was helpful. Like my best friend back in Portland already, like she stopped drinking before I did. One of my best friends I already knew because we actually had worked together in my business. She's sober. And so it's really nice to have just like I realize like I need friends that also don't drink, but for the friends that do, and I know too, like with a recent breakup, like at some point I'm gonna have to start dating again. And I feel like that's where that'll like test me. So I'm like, I don't really know what to say. Like just because everyone's like, oh, let's get a drink. I'm like, can we not? Like I don't, that's not a way to get to know someone. But typically I just like make it really, I just like don't make it a big deal. I'm like, oh, I just like don't drink. And I've never had anyone be like, oh, that's weird. Like at all. You know, people have always been like, oh my God, do what you need, you know, sort of thing. Or even be like, oh my God, I'd love to have mocktails with you. That's so fun. Like I feel like people see it as kind of then also this permission slip to be like exploring it too, just in a fun way, even if it's just to like make me feel comfortable or whatnot. But I've thankfully had like all my friends have been so respectful of it, you know, and like we'll even be like, oh my God, look, like they have mocktails on the menu, or like look at the fun, you know, alcohol-free drinks they have and stuff like that. So which I feel really grateful for, to like have that kind of community.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, it just goes to show like if you do make the decision to go sober completely or be sober curious, it's like if people are giving you grief about it, those probably aren't your
Yeah.
people.
Oh, absolutely.
So it just goes to show, you know, all of these decisions, like they bring you into closer alignment, but
Mm-hmm.
it can be challenging. I
Yeah,
mean,
totally.
what advice, because I really do feel like this is a
Mm-hmm.
topic that people have on their minds and they're just
Yeah.
not talking about. What advice would you give to someone who is curious about going sober, but maybe they feel too scared to step into it?
Yeah. Oh my God. I think I have so many things. The first thing I would say is like really kind of question yourself of like, what do I get out of drinking? And some people are like, I just like love wine. I'm really passionate about learning about the totally, that makes sense. I couldn't care less. I just like don't. I know I'd go to the wine tastings and be like, I don't know what I taste. I taste wine, you know, like that. It wasn't like a passion for me. Like I have friends that work in wine, and I'm like, yeah, you like know shit. Like that makes sense. And
Yeah.
like when I really dug in and I realized, which is kind of funny, it like ties back into the coming out journey. Like I think for a long time, me being like, oh, I drink every once in a while was kind of like, for me, I would like drink on a date because I like needed a drink to get through a date with a man. Like I was like, if I drink a little and get a little tipsy, I will just not feel as much like I don't like you and I don't want to be around you. Like it helped me like date men. Honestly, I'm like, I needed that liquid
Helps me
courage.
tolerate you.
Literally, like, oh my God, I feel so bad. Oh my God. But it's so true. And so I was like, wait, I don't like need that as this like buffer anymore, or this like courage to like know what the fuck to say to you because I have no thoughts in my brain right now because you're a boy. Like, and
Yeah.
so when I realized that, it was like funny to me. And then I was like, okay, but I don't need that anymore. Like, we aren't in those situations. So I think just asking yourself, like, what is it that is like kind of driving you to like want to drink without like having shame or judgment around it. And then I do think like finding activities that don't surround alcohol is really helpful, especially in the start, because I think it's really easy. Like I feel like back in Portland, I was more prone to like going out to the bars or like a club or something every once in a while with like my ex-girlfriend and her roommates. And then when I was there, I was just like, well, I'll just have, like get a tequila soda, whatever. Like everyone's getting one. And so when you are trying to like go sober or curious, it does make it harder, obviously, if you're around it. Even if you like don't, it's not like again, I don't have an addictive personality. I was just like, I'm around it. Like I'm gonna get one.
Mhm.
So, you know, finding like activities, there's like, you know, once you look online, there's so many other like events going on in your area, or there's even like a full zero proof bar here in Sacramento, like that does events and things like that. Or I just recently tried out ecstatic dance at my yoga studio. I don't know if you've ever been to like, oh my God, it's like feels
Yeah.
like the energy you're at a club, but like it's like meditation music kind of, and like
Yeah.
everyone's sober. Like at least the ones I go to here, like they're
Yeah.
sober events, and it's stuff like that where you're like, wait, this is I'm having so much fun, and I didn't even think about like, oh, I wish I had a drink, because no one here has a drink, and we're all just being free and doing what we want. And so I think that's really helpful. And then you meet other friends there that are like sober curious or sober, and it just kind of like it builds, because it does feel really hard if you're like the only one and all your friends, the only idea they have of fun is clubbing, is getting happy hour. Like, of course, it's going to feel like the literal biggest hurdle, because it's like, oh, I feel like I'm losing my friends because this is how we connected. So finding people to connect with in totally new and different ways, I think is like the biggest thing that has helped.
Yeah. And that's definitely, I would say, probably the biggest challenge, because
Mm-hmm.
it's always like, even what you said earlier, it's like people are like, when they get asked on dates, it's like, let's go grab a drink.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I remember when I was sober, I was dating, it was before I got into my current relationship. And I would always just counter with like, how about we just get coffee instead?
Mm-hmm.
And they would either reply or they wouldn't.
Yeah. Literally. And I feel like it's such, like, honestly, it's such a good filter for people. Like, I would say, like, my chronic illness is a great filter because if people get weird, I'm like, well, I'm not going to date you. And then being sober is like the best filter because if people get weird, I'm like, well, we are not compatible because we're just never going to have stuff to do together, you know? Like, oh my
Dude,
God.
I love how you're like, if people get weird, like,
Yeah, I'm like, screw, like, I'll be weird right back.
you're like, fuck you. Being
Literally.
sober is super normal.
Yeah.
It actually
Shut
is,
up. Yeah.
though. Like,
It's like so, like, I
we're
feel like
sober in our natural state as humans. So,
literally, why is it weird?
oh man, it's a hot topic.
Totally.
So, I know you're really into mocktails. What's your favorite
Oh my
mocktail?
God. Lately, oh my God, I was at this shop the other day and I should have gotten it. It was like this whole plant-based, like refined sugar-free mocktail rest like cookbook. And I was like, why didn't I buy it? But anyways, for now, it's kind of like basic. I feel like the main part of it is like I mix it with kombucha, but I use mango kombucha. And then I have this like spiritless tequila that like weirdly kind of does taste like tequila. So I'll do a little bit of that in there. And then lemon. And then they sent me also the company that makes like the fake alcohol sent me their like ginger like syrup that's made with real ginger. So I put a little of that. And then sometimes I'll like put some strawberries in there and it's so good.
Oh
It's
my
like
gosh, that's fancy.
it's kind of like a little margarita-esque vibe going on.
I'm over here and I'm like, I'm gonna take this sparkling water and I'm gonna pour it into a wine glass.
Literally, me 90% of the time is kombucha in a wine glass, and I'm like, perfect mocktail. Like,
Okay, what are your honest thoughts about, well, and I know you do brand deals and stuff, so
right.
whatever you can share, but
Right.
what are your honest thoughts around like spiritless alcohol? Because I tried non-alcoholic wine and I thought it tasted like shit.
Okay, there are some brands that are so bad. Like some brands that I'm like, literally, what the fuck? Like, because I feel like I've made it my mission where I'm like, I'm just gonna try every brand. And my local grocery store, I can like basically see from my apartment, a little dangerous because it's like has a lot of health food, but they have like a whole non-alcoholic section, which I like never even seen because I just stopped going down that aisle. And then one day I went down with my ex-girlfriend and I turned around and I was like, this whole shelf is like the coolest stuff. And so I had tried like different wines and I just felt like they all just tasted like cider or like juice. And I was like, I'd rather just have a juice or a kombucha then. But
yeah, right.
It's like so the brand though, there's a brand called Drink Shirley, and they sent me stuff like when I first moved here. And so I wasn't even sober yet, but like kind of again, didn't drink often. And it's de-alcoholized rosé. So it's still the exact same base as like actual wine and actual rosé, but they just like extract the alcohol from it. I don't really know how it works. And I kid you not, I'm like, if someone served me that at a like restaurant, I'd be like, oh, sorry, I don't drink. Like, I can't have that because it tasted so real. So there are good ones out there. And same goes with like the spiritless, like spirits. I think they're fun. Like the one brand that I just worked with, Drink Spiritless, literally, I don't know how they do it. Cause again, like, I'm like, why does this whiskey taste like whiskey? It's like, like my brain can't comprehend. Like, again, I feel like this is so embarrassing. I feel like if someone served me the drink and I drank it, I would like be like, well, I'm tipsy because it like tastes so real. So it's just fun to have because it's like, again, it kind of just like makes the mocktail taste more like, ooh, there's an edge to it. And it makes it fun. Like I see it as like a little ritual, like before ecstatic dance, me and my friend made mocktails. I'm like, it's so fun. We still use a little shot glass, like measured it. But there are a lot of brands that like, they don't taste like alcohol. And so it feels like, okay, you don't really need this, but again, it's fun. The bottles are cute. Like in my next apartment, I want to have like a little bar cart that's like all alcohol free little like spirits and stuff. So I feel like for the aesthetics, they're fun, but that brand like actually tastes like it. So if you like are struggling to go sober because you actually like the taste of alcohol, like I feel like it's a good option.
That's a good point because sometimes I'm like, I like, cause I do enjoy the taste of wine.
Yeah.
And that's where sometimes I'm like, okay, I really want a little bit of wine. But so that's good for, I guess, people listening. If they're like, the taste is what they want, then they can get that experience. And it's like the ritual of like,
totally it is.
Like
making a drink, having a drink, all of it.
Yeah. It's just like fun to sip on something.
Totally.
So love all of that. So okay, we're running up on time. So I actually did an Oracle card pull before.
Incredible. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Yeah. And I was just like, because I know you're into Oracle cards and stuff. So I was like, I'm just gonna ask my guides to like, just
give us a little something.
Give us a little something based on like us coming together and connecting. So I drew 3 and can I share them with you? And
Please.
I want you to tell me because I am feeling like it's like around your energy more, but I want you to tell me if it like resonates.
Okay.
Okay. So it's from the Spirit Animal Oracle. You're familiar with this one, right?
Yes, I love that deck. I don't have it myself, but like the float therapy place I go to has it. So I always pull them when I'm there.
So beautiful. I know that place looks awesome.
My God.
Anyone listening, you just like need to follow Nat on social media because she posts like I'm like, can I just insert myself into your life and just like come along?
Please,
And just
literally teleport.
Literally, I'm like, take me everywhere.
Put you in my pocket.
Literally. Okay, so first card is Horse Spirit. Freedom is yours.
Oh. Yes.
So what does this bring up for you when you see it?
Definitely like my breakup, and not in a sense that sounds bad. Anyone, if you know Abby was, it's like me and my girlfriend, we broke up mutually. It was like a very beautiful breakup. We're doing like conscious uncoupling. Like I didn't feel like restricted in our relationship. So not freedom in that way, but in the sense of like, I am fully just me again. Like obviously when you're in a serious relationship, like you have to kind of like think about, oh, what are their plans for the weekend? What are their thoughts on this? But now I'm like, I can just go here. I could go there. I can move wherever the fuck I want. Like, and so it just feels like this kind of energetic freedom of like, I am just my own again, which feels really good. Obviously, like breakups are hard, but like it also feels comforting in a sense.
And you mentioned like totally. And you mentioned like that, before we started recording, you mentioned like, I don't really know what my next step is. And this card signifies like you're free and just like trust and let go. And it literally says, if your inquiry is about a relationship, you can set your heart free to experience love in all forms. Spirit whispers to you that the gift of freedom is yours if you allow yourself to break out of your perfectionism and stubbornness. Make a move and enjoy the freedom of letting go of the need to control.
Oh my God. No, literally, that was like
what
finally
spoke to.
Yeah. At just the other day, I finally, so I was trying to force my next step and like, I was on Zillow and Airbnb and where am I going to live? And should I travel? And finally I was like, the second you like let up control, you're going to know what you're like, what is meant to happen. And I feel like it like came to me and I'm like, oh yeah, that was like, why was I stressing? Like just let it be. You're allowed to do whatever, go wherever. And just like, if you trust it'll come. So that's crazy. That is like to a T.
Right. Well, and I drew the cards and then I was like, I wonder if she's making a decision about something sometime soon because it was like just kind of the theme. And then I learned about like your uncoupling and I was like, oh my God.
Yep. Literally.
Resonant. Okay. Second one is Dove Spirit, be peace.
Love.
This is just like cultivating inner peace and like remembering that no matter what the circumstances, you can still find peace within, basically.
Yeah.
Totally. And then Armadillo Spirit, set healthy boundaries.
Oh, how'd you know my therapist talked to me about boundaries yesterday? Like literally our whole session. She's like, so boundaries. And I feel like, me and my ex-girlfriend still live together. So like there has to be so many boundaries and I'm like learning to be good at them. And it still feels very hard for me. Like in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm so good at boundaries. I'm like, no, you're good at knowing what boundaries you need. You are still a people pleaser and don't set them. So I've been working on that and getting a lot better with like boundaries around our shared space or like schedules and things like that. So yeah, that's huge. And the peace one as well. I feel like that's just been the biggest thing I've been doing since we broke up was like, I've just been, as you've seen on social media, I've been like hardcore self-caring. I've been just like sitting in my energy all the time and being like, oh, like, yeah, this sucks, but like I have myself and I'm finding peace in that. And that's like really cool.
Yeah. And it's like Dove Spirit invites you to embrace the energy of peace and allow compassion to warm your heart. You always have the power to generate peace within you. And this is a reminder that today and every day is a good day to meditate, quiet any turbulence within you as you embody tranquility.
Wow. Literally perfect.
Literally, much is happening to distract you, but you're called to engage it with the heart of a peacemaker. And it's so crazy because like I drew these with the intention of like setting and connecting with your energy and stuff. And like for the episode. And then then I went back and I read our email thread,
Yeah.
and that's where I saw that you said, because literally when you told me that you had gone through a breakup, like
Yeah.
my eyes like
Did
literally
you?
must have skipped over the entire sentence. Like I'm not exaggerating.
Oh my
Because I
God.
went back and I read it and I was like, I have not read those words before.
Yeah.
And
You're
I
like,
don't
that's
even
new.
right. And I don't even know why I went back and read our emails. Like, oh, I think I was like
Interesting.
getting your bio and stuff.
Mm.
And so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go back. And then I read that and I was like, wait, what?
What?
And then I like looked at the spread and I was like, I feel like this is literally for her.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
Wow,
That's so
okay.
nuts. Oh, I
So
love that.
seems like that resonates
Yeah,
then. Okay.
absolutely.
Cool. That was fun. I've never done that with anyone before.
I
So
loved that. How fun.
thanks for being open.
Yes, of course.
Okay, and we could, I mean, we could go into all of the uncoupling, which is maybe I'll have you on for another
Yeah,
episode because
would love it. Would
we're
love
coming
it.
up on time, and there's
Yeah,
just so much we've covered so
totally.
much today.
Which I
So
love.
let's shift into rapid fire.
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. There's a few questions that you already answered, so
Okay.
I'm not gonna ask those, but okay. Eating out or ordering in?
E I'm like with my gut issues, both are hard, but I would say eating out. Because like if I'm gonna eat that's not something I cooked, like I'm gonna get dressed up cute.
Love it. Beach or mountains?
Oh, beach. So hard.
Same. Coffee or matcha?
Coffee.
Online shopping or in real life?
Online, which is dangerous, but online. I hate the mall. I hate like the energy of going in stores. It's like so hard.
It's a lot. Thrifting or buying brand new?
Thrifting.
Love it. Same. Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
Okay, you did say that earlier.
Yeah.
Would you rather have more time or more money?
Oh my God. Probably more time.
Spend money on a dream home or travel the world?
Travel the world.
Love it. So Sagittarius.
Yeah, I know, right?
Favorite holiday?
Ooh. Like, can I say my birthday?
Yes, you absolutely can.
Okay, my birthday. I love my birthday to like an embarrassing extent. And I have no shame around it.
Own that. We love this. What do you love about your birthday?
I just love, I think my parents ruined me because growing up, it was just like, it's during Christmas time. It's like, wait, you're December? No.
I'm November, end of November.
November. Okay. And so they always be like, see, the Christmas lights are like literally for you. And I'm like, yes, true.
Oh
So I
my
just
God,
think
I love
like
your parents.
I had like my own mini Christmas tree that was like my birthday tree with like pink ornaments. And so it just was
Oh,
always made to be really special. And so, and I just like now as an adult, I always just let myself do like every self-care thing I want to do for myself. So that's why I love it. It's just so fun.
I love that. That's beautiful, especially for like anyone listening if they
Yeah.
have a birthday close to a holiday.
Yeah.
Make that shit yours.
It's all you. It's all for you.
Okay, favorite spiritual modality?
Oracle cards.
Love it. Favorite book?
Oh, probably. Oh my God. The Untethered Soul
That's a good
and
one.
Untamed by Glennon Doyle.
Ooh, I'll have to look that one up.
Very good.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
You know, it's something my therapist said. Like, I don't even remember if it was this therapist or my last one, but just it was around like people pleasing because I tend to be a people pleaser. And she said, like, when you're about to do something or make a decision, ask yourself, am I making this decision for myself or to make someone else's like life more convenient? Because I tend to just choose the option that's like more convenient for other people instead of listening to like what I want. And that's been like really helpful.
That's really good. That's why I ask people these questions because I'm
Yeah.
like, give me advice.
I'm like, please help. Yeah.
Okay, last question. What would you title this current chapter in your journey?
Oh man. The word that just popped in my head right away was rebuilding. And it's not like my life has fallen apart or anything, but kind of like the card said, I'm like in this phase of like I get to rebuild after breakup however I want. And kind of rebuild for the first time since coming out, really, honestly, because I started dating her like right away. So yeah, I think rebuilding.
Freedom is yours.
Yeah.
Core spirit.
Yay.
I love
oh my
it.
God.
Okay, Nat, where can people find you? How can they connect with you?
Okay, you can find my chronic illness business on Instagram at Plenty and Well with Nat, or online at plentyandwell.com. Or you can find my lifestyle brand on Instagram at It's Natalie Cass, on TikTok, It's Natalie Cass, and on YouTube, it's also It's Natalie Cass. I have not posted a video on there in a few months, but I'm going to get back into it at some point.
Well, yeah, I feel like it's a lot. I mean,
It's especially when you're not making money from it yet. You know, it's like that is
yeah.
taking up so much of my time. I'm like, we need to pause for a minute. Like we need to get settled in life again and then try it out again.
But you have plenty of videos for people to check out. So
totally.
I highly recommend you post. It's just like fun to watch you in your day to
Thank
day
you.
routine.
Oh my God.
Like,
Yay.
like,
Thanks.
oh my God. Okay. So, and all of that will be in the show notes. So for everyone listening, yeah, everything will be listed there. So thank you so much, Nat, for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was like, so I'm feeling that like conversations like this just like light me up. I'm like, I have so many ideas. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited.
I feel like we could keep talking. I'm
literally
just,
forever.
Like, there's more that I could go into. Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm going to give my listeners, like, we're going to give them these tidbits and then maybe we can have you back on and we can always do it.
I'd love it. I'd love it.
Yay. Okay. Well, we'll chat soon.
Yes. Chat soon.